This is the Verify Testing internal customer call for September of 2021. Now that we're every 6 weeks, I think our next one will be in November. We have Joanna with us today. Thank you for joining. Looking at the agenda, a couple of quick notes from the roadmap deck that is shared in the agenda. There is research happening as we validate usability testing jobs to be done. Gina wrapped up those interviews this week and has already posted insights. So we're working on rewriting the job to be done around usability testing. It did uncover a lot of interesting things in environment management and code review, as much as it did around how we use review apps and visual review tools. Which was really interesting. So as we continue to push forward to move that category from minimal to viable and driving more internal usage, we're looking at things like the doc site and handbook of how do we use review apps and visual review tools as part of the review process with those. And then I'm going to be kicking off research later this afternoon with the first interviews around just the overall customer journey from when you start authoring that GitLab.yaml pipeline, GitLab CI YAML pipeline file. Wow. Through when you start uploading artifacts and looking at them and see what that process is like, where there are friction points in uploading artifacts. We're changing our main PI from usage of paid features to just overall usage, tagging on to the stage monthly active user count of how many users are starting the pipeline to how many users are starting the pipeline that uploads a file. One of those two test report files. So that's what we're looking at. So those are some of the highlights from the deck. And today I wanted to talk about metrics reports because that is a topic I don't think we have covered much in this call. So I would pose the question to our internal customer of, tell me about the last time you used a metrics report.
To be completely honest, I didn't know that we had this feature, so I'm glad that you brought it up in this call. I was looking at the docs before this, and I think it's definitely really cool. I'd be curious, like, if you know how we're using it at GitLab now, like what other teams are using it.
Yeah, let me let's all look intently at our screens while we look for an example. And then I'll share my screen. So we're using it today for things like gem size, I want to say. See if I can find a non-docs MR. Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to share my screen. So here's an MR for site. You see, it's one of the widgets here. So we're using it to track some metrics around gem size, memory usage on boot. I don't know what all these gem size things are. Some of these are gems we're either using or gems we're creating as part of the build process, but I'm honestly not sure. It looks like that's everything. And I'm kind of surprised that those all say new, because you would think that those are existing gems and here's the diff between the two, because this view of here is now the size of a thing without any comparison is really not that useful, I would think. And that's the feedback that we've gotten from customers as well. So I wonder if either we had a degradation or if the way that this file is being created makes it always look like these are brand new entries into the file.
We'll probably be able to review it once we migrate it over to the new merge request widget extension. So
yeah,
we can at least see if it was a front end degradation or if it's some kind of way the report is handled.
Yeah. And I wonder, this isn't one that's on the list that working group is changing over initially. But it seems like this is a pretty simple list, similar to the performance widgets that are migrating. So we should be able to do this one fairly soon after, I would think.
Yeah, I think the only thing that was keeping us from moving that over was polling wasn't put into the
Right.
core component yet. So as soon
Okay.
as polling is in there, then we're good to go.
Yeah. Cool. I'm going to try to find our example. Oh, I did one the other day because I was testing something out. I wish I could sort my project list by last updated instead of whatever order it's in. Thought I did something yesterday. I was testing out if multiple metrics reports files were consumed by the widget, so you would see all of the data, and confirm that that is true, that that works. There it is. All right, let's share my screen again. So this one has changes and then a new item as well. So we had one new, one that didn't change. And if there is a change, I don't think we're showing the percentage here yet because these are strings and not things that we can calculate on easily. But it should show, or it shows that there isn't a change or the diff between the two, just through simple conversion if something has changed. So I would expect that it's not a degradation, that it's in the way that, or it's not a degradation and it's always showing things as new, but maybe something changed in the widget logic as we're looking at it, where it's just not picking those up as changes and showing them as new every time. Or it could be that the file doesn't exist on the target branch too, if that's not run as part of the normal default branch build.
When it's showing the diff, is that between like your current branch and the target branch?
Yep. So that's where I would think that it would be a lot more interesting to show, like if we know how big the gem is on that branch, how much has it changed with my change? I would think that that is the intent of that, having that there. I'll post back into engineering productivity and poke around and see what the intent is for that. I'll also see if I can figure out who the author was on that part of the GitLab CI YAML, and try to uncover some motivation for having that in there. Thank you for taking this, Joanna. Cool. Well, since you didn't know we had the feature and haven't used the feature, and we're finding some gaps exist around, it's not showing us actually diffs, which might be more useful, but I can investigate further. That wraps up my questions around using metrics reports. So I'll pass it back over to you. What other topics do you want to chat through today, or questions do you have about what we're working on? How can we be more helpful to the quality team?
Yeah, so I think Kyle had added a comment on like the test execution reports. Like this is something that we're trying to kind of build on our own right now, because we're trying to understand like what are the trends for our pipelines over time right now. But if we had something you know, that was like a GitLab feature that we could use, that would be awesome. So I guess my question is, you know, like what is the current plan for that, like scheduling wise, and what kind of help would y'all need from us to move that forward?
Excellent question. Let's take a look at the roadmap. That's not it because it's not scheduled. Yeah, I had left a comment in that issue asking if there's anything we could contribute. And I think that they're using the endpoint that we set up, the internal one, to populate the test today. And beyond that, there wasn't anything that y'all needed initially. I think it's historic test data for projects is probably the right thing to look at. And so, yeah, where we had started was that we wanted, initially we thought we would do just the last 10 executions of a test, but I don't know that that's the right level of what you're looking for. Of did these, I guess, I think there's a gap between what this does and what you're trying to understand that I need some help figuring out. So what we had done was put together, and this went through solution validation, where at the project level, you'd be able to see all of your tests and a history of them over the past however many runs to see how the test itself is trending over time. But that's all the way down at the test level, not even at the job level or overall the suite level. So yeah, I'm not sure that this gives you the view that you're looking for. Are you looking more for this many tests are passing, this many tests are failing?
Yes, I think so. And then having the ability to drill down and understand which tests also. Yeah, I'm wondering like if there's a way to do it by pipeline and see the trends that way rather than at like the project level.
Yeah. So we're always thinking about it at the project level, it seems like. And that's what, like that view would be the click in from our project summary, which is that one. That's probably very tiny. What we learned in our solution validation was that, oops, too far. This test runs data and the test coverage data, which we think we can populate pretty quick because we have an endpoint for that, was what was most important to current customers, external customers. This would give you at least the current, the latest pipeline that ran on the default branch for the project, how many tests are running, failing or being skipped. And then the click in from here on the full report would be then that next level of here's all of those jobs and tests then. I think the iteration after that would be, now let's take these 3 data points and track them over time so you can see it, at least at the project level. But you want to see it at the pipeline level because of all the different environmental stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Huh.
Okay. That's always the problem that we run into, is the way that we organize our tests is by pipeline, not by project.
Right.
That's all right. Okay. So if we were able to see this, but do a filter by the pipelines, then you'd be able to do it, you would accomplish more of what you're trying to do with your own report. But if we were able to at least give you an endpoint for this and filter by pipeline, you'd be able to populate that report, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. Well, I will take away from this at least a to-do to create the issue of create the endpoint with a pipeline filter on it so that we can get closer to that. If we don't already have that, or if the team isn't able to move forward with the endpoint that is there. And then let's create a view of filtering by pipeline within the project level as well, so that we can make this, we'll create a dog food issue for that so that we know that that's a use case for our internal customer. Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks.
Once we had that, I think the test summary view would be a little bit better for you too. Cool. Well, anything else that we can help with? Anything you want to poke at for things that have come out of the team lately?
I think that was the only thing that was top of mind today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, very fruitful call, if a quick call. I appreciate it.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, Joanna. I appreciate it. All right, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
Love seeing Kyle, as always. Thank you, Kyle. But like seeing you too.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.